Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome, Stephen and Chutisa, the two Bowmans.
Good morning.
Ah,
And good evening in Australia. Mhm.
it is different time zones. So
Yeah.
we're here today with you because we're very curious what you know about unlocking limitations. So just for the people that don't know you, Stephen and Chutisa, the two Bowmans, are the founders of Choice for Wealth. You can look that up. It's an amazing platform to start. Do I say that right? To just start changing your life, start changing how you look and create, not from limitations, but actually from possibilities. Can you say a little more?
I mean, one of the great joys in our life is to sort of function outside of this reality, but also to use this reality to work for us. So when you start to mold those two together, everything is possible. So what we find often is people who want to be outside of this reality and totally disregard this reality, and those people that are so functional in this reality that they don't see what else is possible at all. So what if you could actually work with both of those? And one of the great things in that is one of the great instigators, one of the great creators of true wealth in this world.
Wow. So it's really where you don't go against anything and just start using everything that's available to you.
Start using everything that's available to you with no point of view about whether it's right or wrong.
Well, the key thing is, this reality exists, whether we like it or not. So why don't we actually use it to our advantage? And most people don't. Most people actually become employee of this reality. What we are inviting people to know is, why don't you choose to be employer of this reality and employ it to work for you?
Get it to work for you.
How much more fun would that be instead of being trapped within this reality? You become aware of all possibilities beyond this reality and use this reality to work for you. And that is true choice for wealth.
So I think I'm just going to tune into a lot of heads that are watching this now or later, and they will be like, yes. And now how do we do
that? Start.
And that's the key thing. I think most people, that is the key point, that if you start asking how, recognize that you already buy in to this contextual reality. So anytime you think, I don't know how to do it, how would I do that? You have to be willing to say, I'm just buying the lie of this reality that I need to know how before I can actually start creating, being, and doing anything.
We did a series of telecalls last year, which were a huge amount of fun, which was, so where do you start when you don't know where to start? And you just start. But where do I start? Well, just start. How do I start? Doesn't matter. Just start. Because if you really get that every choice creates, then you cannot start from a wrong place, because you're already making a choice, and that'll lead to another choice, and that'll lead to another choice. So you should all get into share trading and be great share traders. Oh, where do I start? I don't know. Just start.
People always look for the answer on the how-to instead of making the choice to be the creator source of your reality and function from adventure of life and living. If you function from the space of being in the adventure of life and living, you never need to know how. You just make a choice in the 1 second increment, even, to actually say, okay, would that be fun? Yes, no, and go ahead and do it. I think this title for tonight, or today, this morning, is about wealth.
Unlocking the limitations of wealth.
So let's look at wealth. Most people misapply what wealth is. And they get themselves so tied up in the knot that they have no awareness or no capacity to have wealth. What if I say to you that you are already wealthy, you just not claim on and acknowledge it? You're pushing it away every moment by not claiming, owning, and acknowledge the wealth that you have from within.
It's interesting because many people have full-time jobs, and their full-time jobs is not to have wealth. And it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work because you've got to keep on doing the same thing over and over and over to not create the true wealth that is possible to you, which includes money, but is not just money.
So
Yeah,
what
wealth
what is wealth?
What a great question. Thank you, Yasa.
Well, I think as soon as you're trying to define what wealth is, you already buy into the wealth according to this reality. Therefore, you will start functioning according to how everyone else doing. So first, I would invite you to recognize that true wealth is undefinable, unconfinable. As soon as you just try to define what true wealth is, you already buy into what wealth is in this reality. I mean, I'm spinning a lot of people out right now by saying that because you're saying, oh, well, but if I don't define it, how do I know that I'm having it?
How do they know, darling?
Just you are being wealth. You're not just having to choose wealth outside yourself. So if you are willing to be the generative energy, space, and consciousness of wealth, tap into that. When you are truly being the energy of wealth, who are you being?
So if you're miserable,
you're not wealthy.
And you don't have enough money,
you're not wealthy.
And you think it's all too hard,
you're not wealthy.
And it's just depressing looking at how life is.
That's not true wealth.
And that's so I'm just going to jump in there because sometimes it might be tricky because like you get out of your full-time job and then people start creating their own business, and still often that pattern is still there where we still work very hard to actually not create wealth, hoping to get there one day.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you said. So hoping that we get there one day, meaning we already put the wealth outside ourselves. You know, anywhere that we're hoping that we are going to get to the space of wealth.
One day.
You already put the wealth outside of who you are. What if you embody and be wealth from the here and now? Whatever that wealth means to you. For me, it's wealth meaning is being the generative of infinite choice, infinite possibilities. Therefore, you cannot define what that is. You see, if you are willing to be undefinable, totally unconfinable, you are being wealthy because no one can control you. No one can define you. No one can put you in the box. Then you have the capacity to be, to have, create, and generate anything from that space. And that is true wealth for me, for someone who don't want to define it. But that is the energy of it.
And I love, because I've seen and I've been in classes with you, and one of the things that really that I was amazed by is how what I've seen, you never go into problems. There is always like a possibility. It doesn't matter how big the amount of money is required, what is required, there is always this space of instant going to possibility, instant going to a question.
And tying that in with doing stuff as well. And this is what a lot of people miss out on, is that that you might believe those possibilities are there, but you do nothing. And one of the things that's very interesting for us is that people who say, oh, I'm choosing wealth, but do nothing about it. So the universe will have my back. Well, actually, no, it won't if you're not willing to actually create and generate yourself as well, because then it'll move its heaven earth to actually start to create things with you. And nor will the universe actually support you if you've got all fixed points of view about exactly what it should look like. So wealth comes in an infinite myriad of ways.
I would like to ask Yaso this, that you have observed it in us and in being a lot of our conversation with us already. So how are you apply that to your life and your business? from nothing is a problem and everything's possibilities. Have you been using that yourself?
Yes, and I'm like, we just started the program also. I've been noticing like how much I still don't do it as well, and not from a wrongness, but like starting like to see how much limitations actually we create with our minds. Literally by thinking like, oh, you have this space, like, oh, I know this is going to open up so much, and then you go into like, oh, now I'm gonna like, oh, now is this choice point I'm choosing, but then right after there's this little voice that says, well, I'm not sure, or it's impossible, which basically I started seeing with my former business that, oh, I was not willing to actually make a greater choice. Like, for example, with my art business, I backed off. So that's the phase where I'm in now, like looking at, oh, wow, this catching yourself when your brains start chattering.
And you just actually hit that right on the target, that most people get a yes and a no and a yes, and they get excited by it, but they don't actually stop themselves. Their little negating voice, the little doubt voice, they just allow that voice to actually take over and stopping you from being and doing and creating.
They're letting reality filter into their awareness.
If you could catch yourself, so the if you can, how to unlock the limitation is to truly know that everything's possible and nothing's a problem. If you could truly embody and be that message that nothing is a problem and everything's possibilities, the only thing that stops you from having that is you allow your doubt and the voice to step in. So as soon as the voice coming, you just have to say, stop, 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 stop. And then just committed to stop, because those voices will just take over before you even count to 10. It's just so powerful. The voice of doubt, the voice of fear, the voice of contextual reality.
It's the echo of everyone else in this contextual reality. It's the echoes that you're hearing that actually start to be created in your. So what if you realize, A, they weren't yours, B, they were just echoes of what everyone else is thinking out there, and you go back to, okay, so nothing's a problem, everything's a possibility.
So can I be the devil's advocate here? Because it's what I hear a lot of people often say is like, oh yes, but like I totally get it, this all works, but still there's no money in my bank account, so how am I going to choose?
So, well, maybe if they went back one sentence and said, oh, so there's no money in my bank account, what needs to change?
You see, most people wait and they never create because they're waiting to have the money there first before they make the choice to create, right? There are most people in this reality. How many people you know? How many people listening to us right now not choosing to create what they would like to create because you're waiting to say, I don't have money yet. When I have money, I will choose to create that. What if choose to create and then choose to create the money to create? If we get good ideas or something that we get a strong yes that we would like to create, we just make the, definite choice, a real choice to create. And then we just be in the question, about generate money to actually support that. But most of the time, you don't need money to create. You just need to have the deliberate choice to create something. And before you know it, different possibility move around you. The universe move everything for you to actually create that without having to wait for money. But most people go into the space, I have to have money before I create. What if you don't need money? What if you are choosing to embody and be the creator source of absolutely everything in your life? What would that look like?
Keep being devil's advocate, because that opens up conversations we couldn't otherwise.
I got a new one, because we are like on the Access Netherlands side, and I think it's being spread right now by wonderful Ivy and Ingrid. If you like, and there is like these things also in this contextual reality. Like, okay, I would like to take a class, for example. I would like to buy a house. Like, what questions can people actually ask to, because the first thing we look at is like, okay, so often it's like, what's the price? Okay, now what's the time that I have to create this amount of money? And now how am I going to do that? Which is like what I've seen you doing, not at all how you create from. So do you have some tools for people that are actually starting to play with this?
You are already creating, from what you're saying is you're creating from trying to get money just to go somewhere. What if you have obscene money there that you can tap into at any time?
Do you need do you need a lack of something to actually force you into creation? Oh,
is it the way?
Oh, that's mean.
The question,
I need a whiskey. Hang on.
The question you were posting is that it's very much hand to mouth. You know, like, I want to do this. Where would I find the money? What would it be like if you create a space for you to keep generating money? So you have obscene amount of money waiting for you to use to create different possibilities. But most people will say, oh, I want to do this, and that. I don't have money. What if just keep creating? So you don't actually have to bring the money in one hand and spending the next. If you have more money you could ever spend, how could you create and generate? And it is truly possible if you make the choice to do that. But most people think that they're making the choice to do the class, then therefore they have to try to find money to do the class. What would it be like if you just keep generating money so you can have plenty of money to do whatever you would choose to create and generate? But first you need to, I think we had this conversation a while back, yeah, so I'm just going to bring it back to you, that I remember when we were in Amsterdam, we were talking about, first you would have to be willing to ask, what would you like to create as your life and living? What would the life and living be like if you have everything you would like to have? Then you would require to calculate how much money would you really need to have for you to have that in your life and living, and start creating that, not waiting for it to actually present itself before you create money. But first you need to know, how much would you like to have in your life for you to do all the classes, for you to travel the world, for you to be needless, for you to be able to do everything you decide in life? You have to know how much money you would like to have. And we were having conversations about that. That was how many years ago? 2 years ago.
2 years ago, 1.5.
That was the hardest thing, right? To actually calculate that. So have you started that?
Yes, and I'm really grateful for that, because we started, and for the people who don't know exactly what it is, just basically making a list, right, of everything you require, that you desire in life. And then I started looking, okay, so, but there are two things now. There is my business that requires a totally different thing than I do. And then there is also like this like how you choose to actually move on. Some months, for example, you travel a lot, so that will be a very different calculation than when I'm just at home. So I had to start looking at, okay, so what do I really require? And from there, so I wonder, do you have some questions for that maybe too, for people that have?
You actually said that you have a business and you have your personal life. That the new book I'm writing is about, for people to actually truly set the business up, not just a hobby, because you can use the business to support what you want to do, instead of you do it after tax.
Her new book is awesome, by the way.
A lot of people tend to do things after they pay tax. What would it be like if you're doing things before you have to pay tax? What would it be like if you do everything that business is supporting you for you to do that and be that? And it's not complicated, but people make it to be super complicated, that it's become confusing. But it's truly important to separate your life from your business. Otherwise it's just intermingle. That you rob business to pay for your life, and you rob your life to pay for your business.
So I'm going to give you a little insight here, if you're willing to have Yasso. If you listen back to this Facebook Live and you listen to your 3 or 4 sentences before Chutisa started talking, where you said, so sometimes life goes up and down, and sometimes when I'm traveling, it's a different calculation than when I'm not traveling. So what if we looked at all of the points of view that we had? So, for example, what many people have as a point of view is that I can't make as much money when I'm traveling. Well, what if that wasn't so? What if you could make more money when you were traveling? What would that look like? Oh, but I won't be seeing clients. Who said it was anything to do with seeing clients? What would it be like if you took every point of view you've got about what you can do and what you can't do, and you turned it on its head and you said, okay, so what if I could actually make more money from traveling than if I stayed at home? What would that look like? And then get to work and start to look at the different ways that that can be created. And that is true creation, where you take a point of view that you didn't even know that you had, because you say, well, it's true, I can't make money when I'm traveling. Okay, have a nice life. Yeah, what if I could? What would that look like? That starts to change this reality.
But first you need to, you must know what you would like to create. You know, what would be the desirable life you would like to have? Let's say you want to travel around the world 3 times a year on business in first class. How much would you need to have to do that? And you want to stay on a nice hotel. How much would you need to have to do that? And then
and never go into, oh, I can't have that, because as soon as you do that, you stop all the possibilities that can create. So you'll soon find it's not an end result of saying I need 753,500 euro to do everything. No. And
the thing is to be smart about it as well. For example, you know, like you guys in Europe, the first class, business class, and economy are just no different when you travel in things. So it's crazy to pay for the business class, so you can sit a row in front of
for 1 hour
economy
flight.
for 1 hour flight. So it's about being smart, being in the question about what would be more expensive to pay for. Some people say, I only want to travel business class, and we say, why? You know, we were on one of the airplane that
business class had a pillow on the seat between the 2 other seats.
Not even that, and I had a bread roll where someone else was behind us. So that's not being smart. If you have a fixed point of view that I only want to travel business class, you just have to look at being in the question, okay, if I'm going to travel this airline, you know, is it expensive to go business class? But when you travel 24 hours from Australia to go to Europe, you know, those are the kind of thing you make the choice, you know, because you're precious and you only travel business, but it's more nurturing and more caring and more benevolence and more kind to your body.
I'm precious.
If you can actually travel, you know, lying down for 24 hours rather than sitting up between 4 people for 24 hours. So it's different choices that you make. So it's a deliberate choice that you make. So we made a deliberate choice that when we travel from Australia to Europe, we make a choice to travel, you know, that nurture us. But when we travel in Europe, sometimes we know that those seats not going to be different. We don't make the choice to pay the money for something that is not going to create expansion in our world. So being in the question, choice, possibility, and contribution, not just make the choice because we will not travel on anything else unless it's a business class. You know, that's a fixed point of view.
It's another limitation.
That's a limitation.
You've got to be willing to have it all.
Can I ask you something about being willing to have it all?
Yay.
There tends to be this sort of comfort zone of comfort with money, with anything in your life. You're used to this specific zone of having this much money, and it fluctuates a little, but sort of it seems that when it goes either over or under, it seems to be become really uncomfortable. So how can you break the limitation, especially when the money tends to become more? How can you break that limitation where you're stopping yourself thinking, well, I've created so much?
And the good old financial comfort zone that this whole contextual reality function from.
Now, can I just pick you up on one of the comments you made there, Ingrid, because it was almost like saying that, you know, how can I stop when my money's going up, making it go down again? Well, what if actually it was more important and more powerful to say, well, when the money was going down, what if I could just create more?
Yeah.
So that way, if the money goes down, you create more, and it goes down, you create more. Am I off the screen yet? It goes down, you create more. So because you actually know inside you that no matter what, you can always create more. And this is one of the greatest gifts that anyone can give themselves, is to know that no matter what, you can always create more.
But the first question that you could ask yourself, what is your financial comfort zone? What is the maximum amount of money are you willing to allow yourself to have?
Have a look at your bank account. That'll give you an idea.
Look at your income that you have been making a year. That is very much, you have set whatever you're earning right now for the annual income. You can just look at that and say, okay, this is my financial comfort zone, because I mean, if you don't have that, you could have created so much more than that. So be aware of what that zone is. And like we were saying that, you know, people keep on saying, when we first started being a consultant for the board and things, people often say that you can't charge more than so much money, and being a consultant, you're never going to make, you know, more than this. And if we have bought into that reality, we wouldn't be willing to charge more than that, because we would just think, oh, but no one would pay us for that, because that's how this reality is saying, and who's going to invite us to come and do. But the thing is, you know, it's a weird conversation to have, because I mean, David Kubes and I are going to have a class next week about
Friday, Thursday Europe time.
How do you know what to charge? And it's
how much do you know? How do you know how much to charge?
It's a big topic that everyone has so much issue about what to charge, because if you have a comfort zone, a financial comfort zone, you're not going to be able to charge anything beyond what your comfort zone is. And then you go into delusional, illusory point of view that I'm going to charge double of everyone else because I know my value. Well, if the market value doesn't see that, you can charge whatever you want, but no one's going to hire you to do it. So it's about functioning from awareness, functioning from being the question and choice about, okay, what would my client able to pay for this, and would I be willing to do it for that price? You know, that's the way, that's the kind of thing. It's not about have a fixed point of view about this is how much I'm going to charge because I'm valuing myself this way. So that is about a lot of things, like people who's doing consulting or facilitating and things like that tend to set the price because they think that they're going to prove to the universe that they are valuable and they're worth it, instead of being a contribution. If I am truly being a contribution to create a greater world, how much can I charge?
Wow.
This is the right platform for that topic, but but that is a very for everyone, very much for everyone.
So back to Ingrid. What was your question?
A comfort zone.
Comfort zone of money. Okay, so I think the very first thing is to understand that you've got a comfort zone. I mean, I got told many years ago that, as Chutisa said, a consultant can only earn so many 100,000 euro in a year. And I bought that as a reality for about 3 years until I realized that it was always going to that level, a little bit above, a little bit below, a little bit above, a little bit below, but always came back to the comfort zone of, you know, however many 100,000 euro it was. And as soon as I realized that that was a barrier that I'd put up, that that was just a point of view that I'd bought into, as soon it increased by another third the next year, increased another third. So now I'm always on the lookout for where that comfort zone is to destroy and uncreate it. Not to create more money, but just to realize that if I truly want to create wealth, then I have to destroy every limitation that I've put in, whether I acknowledge it or not, that is actually creating that limitation for wealth.
And you are the only person who can destroy that comfort zone. You are the only person to say, okay, my comfort zone is 500,000 a year. So you have to challenge yourself to actually, what would it take for me to create and generate even greater than 500,000 a year?
And I've just had an aha moment. And it's not about doing more. It's about doing things different. It's about doing things different. If I work harder, then I'll get out of my comfort zone. No, it's not about working harder. What do I need to do different? So you might find that you've got another 1 or 2 businesses on the side that you can actually then start to create. Mm-hmm. It might mean, heaven forbid, totally different topic, not for now, that you use the money that you're creating to create more wealth.
What would it be like if you send your money out to work hard for you?
Yeah.
The question then would be is, what can I be and do different that would allow me to generate multiple stream of possibility that generate multiple stream of income for me with total ease?
And each one of those streams fed into my wealth creation account that was actually there to work for me, not me to work for it.
But you couldn't ask that question if you have the financial comfort zone. Can you see that? If you have financial comfort zone that you only allow yourself to have 200,000 euro a year, which is $500,000 in Australia. It's Australian dollars not good at the moment. So let's say you have 200,000 euro that you allow yourself to have. If you could not actually be willing to break through that comfort zone, you could not even ask that question. What can I be and do different that would allow me to generate multiple stream of possibilities? Because what the point? You're not going to receive it anyway. Your comfort zone will actually contract it as soon as you reach it. So make the commitment that no matter what it takes, I am going to break that comfort zone. Whatever it looks like, I'm going to destroy and uncreate, pock and pot, whatever tools you have.
Just say, okay, that's a point of view that no longer works for me. Bye-bye. So it's really just unlocking that point of view and destroying it as a point of view. You don't have to replace it with another one. Just say, okay, that is no longer true.
And just for the fun of it.
That's something a lot of people do, right? They will look for another point of view to fill the gap.
The right point of view for me.
And just for the fun of it, Ingrid, if you just challenge yourself, just for me, just for fun, okay, I have my comfort zone is 200,000 euro. This year, I'm going to challenge myself to generate and create 250,000 euro, or maybe double that. I mean, if you feel courageous, what would it be like if you challenge yourself to double that? Say, I will generate 400,000 euro this year. I don't know what it is yet. I'm not going to ask how, but I'm going to be in the question, what needs to change here? What can I be and do different that would allow me to generate multiple stream of possibilities? I don't know what that is. I don't know what it looks like, but whenever it happens, I will know and I will actually perceive and receive it. Yeah, it's something triggered. This is really weird. You know, people always ask how to do it. What would I know when I get it or not? You know that we're going to become a grandparent any minute now, and
literally any minute.
Our daughter is just in that space of wanting to know, you know, how she's going to know and all those. And it's remind me that 33 years ago, I kept on asking my doctor, how would I know that I'm going to need to go to the hospital? How would I know that I'm in labor? How would I know that I'm going to be the time? Because in that moment, I had no idea. How would I know? It's exactly the same thing that we are sitting right now. If you don't know how to become more wealthy and more prosperous than what you are now, for the women who actually had a baby and give birth, it's exactly the same thing. You know, when that moment comes, you know. You don't even need to know how, and no one needs to tell you how. For those one of you who haven't, tap into that energy.
So everywhere we've been, everywhere we've been misidentifying labor, it's going to work.
Just giving birth is the same thing. It's just like giving birth. You know, when you're giving birth to new possibilities, you know. It's a good analogy, actually, because you're giving birth to a new life and new possibilities. And you don't need to know how. You know that you're making the choice to do it. And you know when the birth is happening, you know. My God, this is so deep. I have to tell my daughter. She's not buying that right now. I think she's very concerned.
That's all very well, but how will I know?
How will I know?
So this is what but it's exactly what we find when people have these conversations in wealth. Because, I mean, we could tell everyone who's watching this, here are the 5 really cool things you can do to immediately increase your wealth. And not one of you would hear it. Not one of you. Not only would you not hear it, you wouldn't do any of it anyway, because it doesn't meet your already formed points of view of exactly what it should look like for you to actually create greater wealth. Health, happiness, the points of view that you got around you, the money in your bank, all those sorts of things. But unless it meets the points of view that you've already decided is wealth, you're not going to do anything with it.
Well, do you really want wealth? Because, you have not made the choice to have it.
Yeah. Because if you truly wanted wealth, guess what?
You would already have it.
Mm-hmm. So start there, maybe. Make a deliberate choice to actually create and generate wealth in your life, and then start looking at educating yourself about what that would look like, the different things. It's not going to happen in 10 minutes. It might, not likely. It might take you a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. But the longer it takes, the more you're creating and generating. So by the end of 4, 5, 10, 15 years, you think, wow, 15 years ago, how dumb was I?
You educate yourself to know how to use this reality to work for you. And you trust that you are already wealthy. Mm-hmm. But once you trust that you are already wealthy from within, once you trust that you have the innate capacity to be wealthy, the only reason why you're not that yet, because you have not making a choice to be it. Mm. Once you make the choice to be wealthy, then you have to make a deliberate choice to educate yourself, to know what you can be and do to allow this reality to work for you. Mm. And to send the money out to work hard for you.
If you're earning 15,000 euro a year, and you put aside a small amount of that so that it could start to generate wealth for you, you're always going to be creating more than if you say, I've only got 15,000 euro a year. But you've got to make the deliberate choice to actually have a portion of your money make money, so it can make money, so it can make money, so it can create wealth, so it can. But none of that is going to occur unless you change your points of view. And to be truly wealthy is you've really got to have very few points of view at all. I can't do this. Well, what if I could? What if I could do it different than anyone else? I don't have to do the way that the YouTube videos tell me how to do it. What would it be like if I did it my way? I'll break out into song in a minute. I did it my way. Whatever that looks like. But if you educate yourself about what the possibilities are, see, one of the great things about this reality is the information's all out there. But it's useless unless you're willing to ask and be the question about it. What would it take for me to start to create wealth? And you'll read a whole lot of, what's the word for shit?
Rubbish.
Of erroneous.
That's it.
Erroneous information.
You'll read a lot of erroneous information.
Then you need to now utilize your awareness to know. what you could choose. How long is this session, Yoda? Yes, so
Yeah.
Hello.
sorry. Okay.
I think the session is over. No, we're almost like about to like round it off, I think, because like it's Facebook Live, people and people can come and find you like somewhere. Maybe we can give some information. But did you want us like to end where you were heading to?
I have a question, because you've been talking about the new book. What's the title?
The book is for the business people, really, because we advise so many business people about how to do business, and I realized that most people try to look at how to get more clients, how to get more customer, but never look at how they can actually create wealth through their business.
Through their business.
So the book is about create different space for people to know that they truly can actually have a successful business, and then become money smart, and also how you can actually generate wealth through your business.
So the title of the book is
Money Smart and Business Success.
Are you also going to make a book? I already like see the next book, Pure Labor, with Chutisa.
No.
Yeah. Labor seen through the eyes of a husband. La 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 la. So anyway, so look, again, coming back to the topic of this Facebook long live, is it is about unlocking the limitations for wealth. The first thing to really recognize here is that any point of view you've got about what wealth is or isn't is automatically a limitation. What if you had no point of view about what wealth was? What if you had no point of view about how much meant wealth?
Any definition,
any
conclusion, any projection you have about wealth, but that's all limitation.
The other side of it is you need to have an awareness of what's actually going on. So you need to look at what you are currently creating, but please, please, please don't judge it. Just be aware of it. If you collect the information about how much money is coming in, how much you're generating, the different areas that you're generating, how much money is going out, the different areas it's going out in, use that as information, not to judge yourself, because information creates awareness. And this is probably the key thing behind all of this. If you're reading up about the different ways that you can start to have your money create other money, well, that already you're ahead of 95% of this world, because most people will never even look at that. How can my money make money? Let me find out the many thousands of ways that can work, and then choose the ones that actually are exciting for you.
But the key thing is that it's not serious. Like Yasa said, that we started another program before, and the one thing that I keep inviting people to know is don't be serious about it. It should be playful, fun, joyful. You know, wealth creation should be joyful and fun. As soon as you become serious about it, you are chasing it away.
Here's a meme for Ingrid and Ivy to put out there. Here's the meme. You ready? Lighten up, people.
It should be fun. It should be joyful. It should be doing well just for the fun of it.
That's it. You've got it. Lighten up, people.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's been great fun chatting to you all.
Bye for now. See you later.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.